I am Mike Clement. I am mayor of the city of Manchester, and with me is City Administrator Justin Clockey. We're going to take a few minutes and go through the presentation that we made to the St. Louis County Boundary Commission a couple weeks back. Some of the slides we will probably skip through, but others we may embellish a bit more and talk a little bit more about it. Wanted to acknowledge, as I did that evening, my appreciation for city staff. We had a big turnout at the public hearing. A lot of our city officials were there, most senior staff, and just a lot of folks came out, a lot of police. So it was a good evening, and I was very proud to be mayor of the city of Manchester. I want to begin this presentation by just acknowledging that City of Manchester had a 1997 and a 1999 annexation. The 1997 annexation brought in about 3,400 new residents. And I was a part of the 1999 annexation, and that was even a much bigger one. And there were 8,000 of us that joined the city of Manchester with that annexation. And so with a city of 18,000 population today, there's about 11,500 of us that are part of the city of Manchester through the annexation process. There was an annexation effort in 2004. It was not successful. And I would just say that the difference between now and 2004 is the city of Manchester is really much stronger in so many ways, financially and strength of staff and kind of commitment to services. And I'm going to say St. Louis County is different too. And they struggle with some of the services and government that often is very discordant. So we will move on to the next slide, Justin. Thank you. 11 factors. This slide we are not going to spend any time much on. It really is very specifically focused on the plan of intent. And since those of you who are watching this will not have the plan of intent, it's not going to have a lot of meaning. I would encourage you to go visit the Manchester's plan of intent. It is on our website, manchestermo.gov. /annexation. When you get to that, you will find our plan of intent. The plan of intent is, I think, a 120-page document, and it really was focused on these important 11 factors that the St. Louis County wants us to answer, and we did. Why don't we move on to the next slide, Justin? These are other factors for annexation. And I am, as mayor, really advocate for these other factors, which really should carry much weight for those of you who might be considering and wondering about what it would mean to be annexed by Manchester. The first one, and it's so important, is local representation. In Manchester, the mayor, I live on a busy street and people know where I live. We have local representatives, we have aldermen, we have 3 wards, and each of those 3 wards have 2 representatives. And that's how residents often stay connected with city government. It is through me, the mayor, or through their elected representatives. And frankly, staff are so easy to be found as well. We have several different city buildings, and staff answer their own phones and they call back and they stay connected. It's a local representation, and it's very easy access to get to staff. And I would also say easy access to resources. Sometimes we have unexpected problems that need some kind of financial commitment. And again, with local government and with smaller government, those kind of needs can quickly be dealt with through the Board of Aldermen taking action quickly rather than waiting for 9 months or until the next budget year rolls around. I also want to recognize highly responsive services. This is something that if you're living in the unincorporated area, you need to talk to folks who live in Manchester, because I think they're going to tell you that we have a response from all of our city departments that is really second to none. Our Public Works Department a couple years back was was voted on throughout this whole St. Louis County as the best public works department in all of the county. And there have not been any contests since that year. And I think it was 2018 or 19 that we won that. But we still are the best. I want to emphasize the financial strength of Manchester. We are fortunate that we have one of the largest Costco's and one of the largest Walmarts in the country. And we collect and we really survive and do well off of the sales taxes that we collect in our commercial area. That financial strength for Manchester continues to grow, and in a few more years will even be further augmented when more funding comes, sales tax funding comes available through our Highlands area, which is where our Costco is, and Best Buy and Walmart. So very, very strong. And I'm going to contrast that with the financial for St. Louis County. They continue to struggle with funding. They at times have budget deficits, and they're dealing with budget deficits right now. So we are strong, and county is still dealing with trying to plug their holes in their budget. I want to also emphasize nonpartisan, and that clearly is addressing our government. Our Board of Aldermen, we run as nonpartisan. We do not run as Republicans or Democrats. And as a result, there is far less discord in our board meetings than you might find in St. Louis County, where you do find a certain number of Republicans and a certain number of Democrats. If you follow St. Louis County government, you will often discover that there is anger and bickering, and that happens to clearly weakens the strength of their government. Similar to the nonpartisan aspect of our government, collegial boards and staff, we get along well with everybody. Our Board of Aldermen, we have easy access. They contact staff, and they in turn reach out to the residents who live here. So very cooperative collegial group of men and women who are the leaders. Efficient allocation of resources. That factor clearly just says we are very efficient in noting and knowing where to commit our resources. And those resources come from a variety of funds, whether it's storm water, parks, capital. We have funds that allow us to invest and upgrade those resources in Manchester. Regional collaboration is just a sign that we work together with all of our neighboring communities out here, whether it's Town and Country, Baldwin, Winchester, Ellisville. Our staffs work with their staffs. Our police chief works with their chiefs. And when there is crime, we sometimes collaborate amongst all of us out here regionally. So there's a real sense of working together. And I'm going to end with the last very important factor, and that is community and what that means. We identify with where we live, and folks who live in Manchester say over and over again that I love living in Manchester. And that just kind of gives you a sense that we do a lot of things. There's a lot of programming, a lot of concerts, a lot of opportunities to come together. We value our veterans. We have veterans events. We value our senior adults. We have special programming for them. And over the course of the summer, our programming in parks and camps is just huge, with lots of people working together. We are a vibrant, very strong community in so many ways. And these factors are not factors that are called out in the plan of intent, but in my mind and the city's mind, these are important factors for unincorporated residents to consider. I'm ready to move on, Justin. Prior to this point in time, we have met with a lot of subdivisions, primarily the trustees of those subdivisions. We've met with residents. We hosted 10 town halls. 7 of them were with the unincorporated community, and 3 of them were with the unincorporated businesses. We actually had 60 in-person visits to unincorporated businesses, and we sent out a promotional flyer just talking about ourselves to over 2,000 residents living in the unincorporated areas. So we really have tried to reach into that area of the unincorporated, to talk to them, to listen to them. We actually called it our listening tour. And we have still been meeting with residents from the unincorporated area, and we will continue to meet with them. But we really have invested a lot of time in speaking to them and listening to them. And some of our plans have changed because of what we've heard and the reasonableness of what some of the suggestions were from unincorporated residents. Justin, there you go.
Thank you, Mayor. So what we have before you is this slide represents the boundaries of the unincorporated area the city is seeking. It is bounded by Carmen Road to the south, Doherty Ferry, Barrett Station Road, Manchester Road, and 2 areas north of Manchester Road that meet the boundary of the city of Town and Country. So one of the factors with annexation is land use and zoning. As indicated in our plan of intent, the city does not intend to change the existing zoning in the proposed annexation area. The approach was chosen to cause the least disruption to existing property owners and to minimize any nonconformities post-annexation. Again, another factor that we have to take into account as we prepare for annexation and put together our plan of intent for it is area connectivity. The proposed annexation area is connected to the city through several points, as indicated by the circles on the map before you. This means that delivery of service will be effective, and the expansion of the city's boundaries to this area is very logical. In the county's 2004 response, however, they claimed that an annexation of this size would create problems for them to service the areas that will remain unincorporated after annexation. While we anticipate, and indeed the county did, make the same argument for this annexation, that it would be too difficult for them to service these unincorporated areas after annexation, it's very important to note that the county would still use the same routes to service the unincorporated areas post-annexation as they do today. Furthermore, fire and ambulance services will not change. In other words, the annexation of the proposed area will not create significant barriers or cause service disruptions, as the county already provides these areas with service, as they've argued. Nevertheless, should the county request assistance in servicing the 3 areas to the east of Barrett Station Road, and the city of Des Peres continues to express disinterest in annexing those areas, the city will be open to a conversation with St. Louis County to explore the best way to support the 3 areas. A new development that happened not so recently, though, was that the City of Town and Country passed a resolution expressing an interest in the area north of Manchester Road surrounding Mason Road should the annexation proceed. We have discussed this resolution with Town and Country leadership and many residents in that area, and acknowledge that should the Boundary Commission give us the green light to proceed with a vote on the question of annexation, and it's successful, we will meet with Town and Country leadership and affected residents to discuss the potential transfer of boundaries at that time.
Proximity to services. One of the really important factors is of local government is the fact that government services in Manchester are really very close and very approachable to all of our residents, and they certainly would be just as approachable and accessible to the area of the unincorporated area. In fact, our city hall, our public works, our parks and aquatic center, and our justice center, where our police department is in most cases all within about a 4-minute drive, 5-minute drive to most of the areas of that blue unincorporated area. We have a terrific response time by our police of 4 minutes or less for emergencies. And that is something, a fact that we achieve all the time. At this public hearing, St. Louis County claimed 1.5 minutes time for their police to arrive, and that prompted some laughter from people who were there, because that's an exaggeration, and it was. Our contacts with county dispatch would indicate that it's not 1.5 minutes by any stretch of the imagination. But snow, our public works, our snow plows come from the kind of the center of Manchester, again, 4 to 5 minutes away. Our police are within I think 5 to 8 minute through even the farthest corner of the unincorporated area. So we really do provide prompt, approachable, and quick response times from all of our services in all of our public buildings.
So before you is a breakdown of the current tax rates and fees should the proposed area incorporate as Manchester. So as you can see, once annexed, the city, current unincorporated residents will have an overall reduced cost burden with the addition of superior services. This is done by a nominal increase in property taxes and sewer lateral fees. The reduction overall costs is caused by the offset residents would have in significantly reduced trash fees. To put the reduced cost burden into actual figures, for a resident that owns real property valued at $300,000 and owns personal property valued at $40,000, the resident is estimated to save just over $145 per year. This reduced cost burden is a result of the city's property tax rebate program. The program acknowledges that newly annexed residents will see little benefit from Prop S street improvements, which is currently being paid off by general obligation bonds issued for concrete street and sidewalk improvements approved by Manchester voters in 2018. When utilized by the residents in the proposed area, they will receive a rebate for the portion of the tax levy that is collected for the retirement of those GO bonds. Finally, it's important to note that St. Louis County and the state of Missouri will continue to receive the lion's share of the overall sales tax bill, while Manchester will receive the smallest portion of 1.25%. Note, St. Louis County receives almost 3 times the sales tax from a Costco purchase as the city of Manchester does currently.
Hey, Justin, can you go back to that? I'd like to call something out. In this slide here, if you notice the trash fees for Manchester residents is $72. And in this slide, we use $266. $266 would represent the same level of service that the Manchester resident. Currently, unincorporated St. Louis County only provides 2 of the weekly pickups, whereas the city of Manchester provides 3, which would include yard waste pickup. Today, there is actually a new unincorporated fee structure for trash that if you included the weekly yard waste that Manchester gets for $72, their trash fee would actually be closer to about $320. So the difference in trash fees in Manchester and unincorporated is really significant and really offsets any of the minimal increase in personal property or real property taxes. I just wanted to call that out, that we've just discovered that the trash fees in unincorporated went up in 2022 because of a new contract with the trash hauler there.
Yep, that's a great point, Mary. Thank you. So another question we frequently get is, how will annexation affect the tax base and ability to raise revenue by taxing bodies? So again, as indicated in the plan of intent, St. Louis County's loss of revenue as a result of this annexation is estimated to be about $2.3 million. In 2022, the county's budget, the total budget, totaled nearly $890 million. The loss of revenue for this annexation would represent only 0.25% of the county's total budget. What the loss of revenue fails to account for is the redistribution of services that this annexation causes. With Manchester providing all of the major services to the proposed area, the county can redirect critical resources to other areas of the county that need it. Reduced maintenance and policing services will significantly offset the loss of revenue that is anticipated. So what is the city going to be doing with revenues that are generated from the unincorporated area? Again, as the plan of intent indicates, the city has already identified infrastructure and other capital need assets for investment. The table before you represents the revenues the city anticipates it will receive from annexation and the investments we intend to make in the same area. The investments include the addition of 12 police officers, 6 public works employees, an additional code enforcement officer, and the procurement of capital assets such as dump trucks, additional police cruisers, snow plows, and more. The investment includes over 60 streets being added to the city's street preservation and rehabilitation program. In other words, streets rated in poor condition will be brought to the city's highest rated condition by 2029. Over 600 slabs of deteriorated sidewalk will be replaced by the end of 2025. The commitment of a significant percentage of the Recreation and Stormwater Fund for stormwater, creek and channel stabilization, and stream rehabilitation projects and more are part of our aggressive plan to provide improved levels of service and investment that this area has not seen for some time.
Hey, Justin, go back to that if you don't mind. I'm going to add a bit more to this. I would like for people to know, Justin has talked a little bit about the philosophy we have of investing in the community. And I mentioned earlier that we have a variety of funds that capture a certain amount of tax revenue every year, and it allows us to invest into these needs. In the last 5 years, Manchester has invested over $40 million in infrastructure, and that is a huge amount, and it certainly is an amount that is not being matched in the unincorporated area at all by St. Louis County. And if you look ahead over this year through the next 4 years, we have a similar investment budgeted of about $20 to $25 million. So we really take our role as kind of guardians and protectors of a community, the streets, the sidewalks, the street lights, parks, trees, forests. We take it very seriously, and we do commit. And this table here really shows exactly that. We are turning around and investing back in the unincorporated area. We called it our listening tour, and we really have met with a lot of folks, and it's been a lot of fun. And what we heard from folks over again is they want improved services, and that's understandable. They want a responsive government. They want easier access to services in government. We heard from folks who have tried to call St. Louis County and put on hold, and 45 minutes later, their phone was disconnected. And so it is frustrating at times when you're dealing with a big, large government that it is not always easy to get hold of the right person. And residents want local representation. That's so important. If some of the other aldermen were here, they would talk to you and mention the fact that they get phone calls. We are the advocates for the residents that we represent, and people know that. They come out, they talk to us, they call, and they call me or email me. So local representation really eliminates a lot of the high hurdles that residents feel when they cannot get a response to their problems or their concerns. And I think this is the most important one. Residents want a voice in annexation. The gist of this is the residents say, let us vote. The Boundary Commission will ultimately be the decider of whether it goes to a vote. But everybody, our two county councilmen, Tim Fitch, Mark Harder, has said, let the residents vote. The school district has said, let the residents vote. Local businesses and communities. So this is kind of what we're asking. This is the way this question should be resolved, is by the voice of the voters. And both voting groups would need to support this with the plurality, the voters in an unincorporated area as well as the voters in the city of Manchester. Next slide. This question, what does annexation mean? We can talk about kind of the monetary value and access to government, but these images really hark back to the term I used and is in this slide, community. It being with people, working together with people, having classes and events that bring us together, that encourage us to talk and meet and know our neighbors. I often speak about use the phrase, lessening the distance. We need to always know who lives next to us, what are their needs, can we help them? And when we kind of adopt that philosophy, the sense of community is strong. These images pass on those areas in our community where we interact, meet, have fun, and often face difficulties. Last slide. Finally, I would encourage anybody who sees this, if you have questions, to reach out to the city administrator or me. Here is our email address and our phone numbers on our website. All our city officials' names and phone numbers and email addresses, and all of city staff phone numbers are available as well. And again, it's manchestermo.gov. So I hope this has been helpful for those of you who have watched this. Again, call Justin or me, talk to us, text us if you have any kind of questions. And if you'd like us to come by and visit, we are very happy to do that. We hope to do this if it goes to a vote. We'll have time to meet with everybody. Thank you. This concludes this presentation.